This is Federalist 37 that we'll be talking about. This is part 1. Federalist 37 is one of the most important papers that we will be looking at. Hamilton wrote a few Federalist Papers covering common defense, the defense of the country, and then the revenue, the money for the treasury. And he ended with number 36. And that was one of the first times he used the word energy. And here, Madison starts with number 37 and writes a series of articles and starts talking about the frame of the government. So you'll get a little bit more detail as how different various branches of the government work. And it'll be very informative. In number 37, it's very interesting. It's one of those few papers that comes and openly tells you that, hey, look, we're human beings. We have tried to do our best. And if we've fallen short of that, it's not because we didn't want to give you the best thing that's possible. It's just that we are human beings, we have shortcomings. Even at best, if we are rational creatures, even if we are reasonable, still the modes of perception are not perfect. He talks about how when you're working with language, there are some ambiguities. There are certain things that are not really clear because of the nature of the use of language. He even, one of my favorite parts he brings up, he says, even the word of Almighty, even the word of God, when it came down, we human beings started perceiving and understanding it differently. That's why we have so many religions. Even within Christianity, that's why we have so many sects. Because he had seen firsthand in Virginia how different sects of Christianity, how different groups were harassing or taking away other Christians' rights, other Christian groups' rights. So he says it's that problem too. And then he also says that there are people that are well-meaning but read these papers or read the Constitution superficially. So they make mistakes. But he says there are groups that from the beginning, they're just enemies of this Constitution, and after you read a few of their articles, you understand that they have not even paid attention to what you're saying. So he says, we want to have a good foundation to build this magnificent system on it. That's why we don't need the old system. That's why we can't use the old system. The Articles of Confederation are totally useless now if we are going to unite and have a happy, prosperous future. And he uses the word Almighty again. He says, look, all these 50-some people got together and had to make a compromise. He refers to the Connecticut Compromise, which the small states got 2 senators each, because at first Madison was totally against it. But by the time July 16th of 1787 got there and they took the vote, he had no choice. The big states got the representation based on population, but when the Senate, when they got to Senate, they had to make a compromise. Regardless of how big or small the state was, they had to go with 2 senators. Even though population of Rhode Island or Delaware was almost 1/60th of population of Virginia. Population of Virginia was 60 times more than that of Delaware or Rhode Island. So he was very unhappy about that. But he said, you know, we were trying to give you the best thing possible, so we had to make that compromise. And he says, something magnificent, something great has come from all these people from different states, different interests. They had to compromise and give you the best system possible. So as we read through this paper, just keep in mind how honest he is, how open he is about saying that we are human beings and we have our faults, some of us more than others. And on top of that, this is the first time that so many men have got together with their past experiences and knowledges and put a great system together. And he says, we've looked at history, we've learned from history, we've learned from our own history. Remember, I've mentioned to you those two memos he wrote to himself. One was in 1786. He talked about the ancient and modern confederacies from all those books that Jefferson had sent him. So he had done a deep historical study on what had happened in the past in different countries, different confederations. And then in 1787, he wrote a memo to himself about vices of the political system of the United States. What's awful about the Constitution and the political system in 13 different states. At least he could study them from the beginning of the Revolution till 1787. And they also, he doesn't mention it, but they had access to the knowledge and writings of some of the major philosophers. John Locke, David Hume, some of those common sense school of philosophy of Scotland, Thomas Hobbes. And they also had available to them the history of England, the country they were very close to. So all of these, they just learned from them and got together and written this system. That's what's unique about this. It's not like Plato's Republic where you have philosopher kings supposedly ruling a place. No, this is people from all sorts of backgrounds. Some people who hated slavery, some people who absolutely wanted slavery and they were not going to give it up, they were not going to make any compromise. Some people who knew slavery was bad, but they knew they couldn't do anything about it. One thing that I want you to remember when you are going through these papers is that United States, as we see it now, it wasn't like this. In 1787, all these states were very different. The culture was very different. Their traditions was different. You cannot say a state which has 50 to 60% of its population of it is enslaved people, has the same codes of law, looks at the things the same as the state where the number of slaves were not that many. So people forget when they think about United States and these states uniting, they think it's just like right now. No, there is no such a thing. It's quite different. So keep in mind, pay attention as I read this paper. Make sure you read along with me. There is a part of it about the common law and different parts of law, the way it's practiced in England. I can't say much about it in these videos. When you get around to it, you can kind of look it up online and learn a little bit more about it. He uses the word precedence, which is very important in Anglo-American way of looking at the law. You look at the past cases. Those past cases that precede are very important, the way they were decided. So precedence is about how the past cases were decided on. Another word that he uses It's very important. He uses it once, but it's extremely important because when you look at the memo he wrote, the vices of the political system of the United States, he uses the word mutable here, mutability. In other words, the laws change, it seems like, every 2 months because the democratic forces, the majority faction, would force the legislature to write a law that was good for them, not for the long term, but for the short term. So the law would mutate, change, mutability. And he says when you don't have a stability, when you don't know what the law is going to be 2 months from now, that would be awful for society. Nobody will make long-term plans. And then you won't have credibility outside. So remember, when I use that word here, just pay attention that it is very important. Excuse me. We'll read this starting in the next video. The keyboard on my phone is out, so I'm not going to be able to put the number and title on the videos when I upload them. That's why I'm going to say the Federalist number, part number, so you'll know. And then when I get my phone fixed, then I'll add it to it. So this is part 1 of Federalist number 37, a very important one by James Madison.